In the early evening of May 26, 1828, the streets of Nuremberg, Germany bustled with ordinary life. Shopkeepers prepared to close their stalls, children darted through narrow alleys, and townsfolk went about their routines, unaware that something, or someone, was about to change the fabric of their quiet city. A boy appeared, clothed in coarse garments, walking with an awkward gait as though unused to movement. He wandered the streets, clutching a sealed letter. He seemed lost, dazed, barely able to speak. When questioned, he repeated the same phrase over and over. "I want to be a cavalryman, as my father was." He barely knew how to walk, could not recognize simple objects, and behaved like a child half his apparent age. His eyes squinted painfully in the sunlight, and he recoiled from loud noises like a startled animal. The letter was addressed to the captain of the 4th Squadron of the 6th Cavalry Regiment. It claimed the boy's name was Kaspar Hauser and that he had been raised in total isolation. His caretaker, allegedly his captor, wrote that he had never allowed Caspar to leave the house, never taught him to speak, and never let him see the outside world. The letter also included an earlier note, supposedly written by Caspar's mother, begging the captain to care for him and raise him to become a cavalryman. Authorities were baffled. Who was this boy? Where had he come from? And more importantly, why had someone hidden him away for so long? At first, Caspar was taken in by the local police. He behaved like a frightened animal. He recoiled from strangers, was startled by sudden sounds, and had difficulty adjusting to sunlight. He subsisted on bread and water, the only foods he claimed to recognize. When offered other foods, he became sick. His muscles were weak, and doctors noted he walked as if he had never learned properly, shuffling rather than stepping. Over time, he learned to speak and write. He told a disturbing story that for as long as he could remember, he had been confined in a small, dark room, no larger than a closet. He slept on a straw bed, played with wooden horses, and saw no one, except for a mysterious man who fed him and sometimes drugged him into unconsciousness. He claimed that when he awoke, his hair and nails were trimmed, but he never saw the man's face. He had never seen daylight until the day he was released into Nuremberg. As the tale spread, Caspar became a local sensation. People flocked to see the mysterious boy. Newspapers reported his every word. Scientists, philosophers, and curiosity seekers debated his origins. Some believed he was a feral child, others a political pawn, and a few whispered of nobility. Perhaps he was a lost prince, hidden away to protect or erase a royal bloodline. Caspar was taken in by a series of caretakers, including Friedrich Daumer, a school teacher who taught him reading, writing, and drawing. Caspar showed some talent. He learned quickly and even wrote poetry, but his behavior was unpredictable. He was deeply emotional, prone to fits of crying and anger, and often made wild accusations. Then came the attempts on his life. In October 1829, just a year after his appearance, Caspar was found in the cellar of his host's house, bleeding from a deep wound on his forehead. He claimed a masked man had attacked him, warning, "You still have to die before you leave Nuremberg." The police found no assailant. Suspicion grew. Some believed he had harmed himself. Afterward, he was moved from household to household, each time gaining and then losing the trust of his benefactors. Some found him charming, even intelligent. Others called him manipulative, deceitful, even dangerous. His behavior grew erratic. He made bizarre claims, acted impulsively, and often lied. He would sometimes injure himself, then blame fictional attackers. And yet, the mystery of his origin kept the public enthralled. Then, in December 1833, came the final act. Caspar returned home one evening, clutching his side, pale and bleeding. He said a stranger had lured him to the Ansbach court garden with the promise of revealing his true identity. There, the man stabbed him and fled. 3 days later, Kaspar Hauser died from his wounds. His final words were confused and cryptic. Many suspected he had stabbed himself by accident, hoping to stage another attack. The investigation uncovered a small violet purse in the garden, containing a note written in mirror writing, a reverse script popular among secret societies. The letter was cryptic and riddled with clues, but many believed it was a forgery, possibly written by Caspar himself. Theories surrounding his identity only multiplied after his death. Some believed he was the hereditary Prince of Baden, swapped at birth and imprisoned to ensure another's claim to the throne. Others thought he was a pathological liar who fabricated his entire story. Still others proposed that he suffered from psychological trauma or a rare developmental disorder. Modern DNA testing in the 1990s attempted to settle the question, comparing genetic material from Caspar's belongings with known descendants of the Baden family. The results were inconclusive. Further tests in the early 2000s yielded similarly ambiguous outcomes. There was no smoking gun. To this day, no one knows for certain who Kaspar Hauser really was. Victim, imposter, or political casualty, his story remains an unsolved riddle, suspended between fact and folklore. He lies buried in Ansbach, beneath a modest gravestone that reads, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time. His birth was unknown, his death mysterious." A fitting epitaph for a boy who stepped out of the shadows and left behind only questions.